Hello and welcome back to the Canaries Chat channel. We are following up from the breaking news yesterday that Marcelino Nunez is going to Ipswich. Not officially confirmed yet, but the deal worth $7.5 million up front and then $2.5 million in add-on fees is going through and is expected to be announced very soon. The dust has settled. We obviously did a video yesterday of the initial reaction of that breaking news, and we thought we'd jump on just to go through some fan reaction as well. The comments in the last video were spicy, to say the least, in a lot of places, but there does actually seem to be a bit of a disconnect between some fans and other fans, and it does seem quite torn at the moment on that situation, on is this the right thing to do. So yeah, we thought we'd jump on, we'd go through some people's reactions that we've asked for. We've kind of posted on X, posted on YouTube as well to see what people are saying. My thoughts are still very similar, I think, from last night, that if it was any other club away from Ipswich, there'd still be a bit of disappointment in it, because I think he can be valuable to the squad, but that £10 million is probably just above his actual value. So again, like, it feels like that would have been an okay deal if he wasn't going to a direct rival in the Championship. I think any Championship move would have hurt us personally. If it was abroad, if it was kind of the Turkish rumours or Spanish rumours, then that would have been easier to take. But the fact it's a Championship move and also it is Ipswich makes it a lot harder, and there's a lot more, obviously, emotion that drives a lot of anger towards the situation. But we'll go through some of kind of what people have said, and I'll be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below. So first one was horrific from the club. Selling one of our best players to them. Maatsen is not a replacement and is a waste of money. Need to stop signing players who need a whole season to settle in, and need to sign Championship proven players like Darling in a creative midfield role. Yeah, I definitely get the stance around the club stance that well, in the statement that we shouldn't be selling to Ipswich. I think it's quite harsh on Maatsen personally. He's not even at the club and we're writing him off. I think I don't see him necessarily as a direct Nunez replacement. I do think we need that kind of central attacking midfielder role strengthened. It doesn't sound like that will be happening. It sounds like Maatsen will be the last of that. But I think it's a bit harsh to write Maatsen off already. But yeah, the Championship proven players, I think Harry Darling has looked the best signing out of everyone so far, and he is the one that has played in the Championship already. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the sole cause for the transfers not working, but it's certainly an observation and a fair one at that. Someone put, I don't think you have to ask the question. Anybody who isn't deeply hurt and offended by Marcy and the club doesn't get football at all. And I think that's one of the divides we have at the moment. There's the divide of absolutely shouldn't happen, and there's a divide of we've got £10 million for a player that is out of contract very soon. And I think I read a stat somewhere that he's 54% of the games he's started since being here and 52% of the possible minutes he's played, and that Kenny McLean's got more assists than him in that time. Obviously he's played a few more games, but McLean did also have the stint at centre back and left back in that time as well. So there seems to be an argument of maybe he's been overhyped our end. Obviously he's had two good, very 45 minutes this season, or two good games, should I say, but you've got to remember towards the back end of the season he was one of the players that downed tools and wasn't performing, and there was talks that he wouldn't be in the starting lineup, and I personally didn't put him in my starting lineup for the first game of the season. I went with Wright and Topic. So it's also that balance of, and Ipswich fans are now seeing it, of fans potentially downplaying how good Nunez was, or overhyping. There's a lot of kind of swings happening, but I think deeply hurt for me is maybe a bit far. Like it is annoying. Like you don't want anyone, especially players in your first 11, going to Ipswich at all. At the end of the day, as well, it is football, so that it's not the kind of the be all and end all. But it is annoying seeing that happen, and the fact that Ipswich haven't got off to the best start. And they've gone out and gone, actually, yeah, this Norwich player can potentially make the difference for us and start kind of our automatic promotion push, is telling and frustrating at the same time. We've got another one. Honestly, it's okay. Just let him go. If any player decides they want to leave the club, let them. Doesn't matter who it is. It's crazy that it's Ipswich, but 10 million is hilarious. He's not worth that. I think we'll be fine without him. #onwards. So I think this kind of touches on what I was saying, like that there's now an instinct to downplay how good he was. You probably go to tweets 48 hours ago and it'll be saying that we missed Marcelino Nunez, we needed him in our team. And now obviously the tweets are going, he's not as good as what we thought, he's not what we needed, and things along those lines. And yeah, we've got to be careful of that swing to try and stay level-headed. I think 10 million could be a good deal for Ipswich if they can get full seasons out of him, which notoriously you haven't been able to do. But also 10 million for us, value running out contract, and the fact, my issue is that he doesn't want to be here. So Chris Reeve was talking about that actually Ipswich have tracked him, I think, for a whole year, and that Nunez's intention was always that he wanted to go to Ipswich, and if it didn't happen now, he would leave on a free. So the fact that he's going to leave on a free anyway, some people then argue that actually the value that he brings to the squad could mean that we could get promoted, and that promotion money is obviously worth a lot more than £10 million is. Completely valid point. But I also think that someone that doesn't want to be here and is running down a contract could also have a detrimental effect on the whole squad. It's not just him that it could affect everyone. And I've seen a lot of those views around, you know what, actually, if he doesn't want to be here, get him gone, whether it's Ipswich or not, we want him out of the squad. And supposedly Ipswich were the only suitor that came in for him. So our hands are tied in that sense, that we've got to go with Ipswich. If we want to sell him, we want to recoup any money, we had to go with them. But unfortunately, some people will now see it as actually we should have said, actually, we'll take the hit on the 10 million, we'll push for promotion. If we get promotion, you get 130 odd million or whatever it is now. That's obviously worth a lot more than that £10 million. So we have another one saying, I think it's annoying that we had lost him with how important he is. But if he wants to leave to that lot and he was going to go to them for free next summer, I think 10 million is good business. I think that summarises it quite nicely, that if he is going to go, we've got to get rid. And the 10 million, I'm a firm believer that if you don't want to be here, then go. And to be honest, I think some fans have been slightly hypocritical in their approach of saying that, well, we should have just kept Nunez, but everyone wanted Kamara out because he wanted to go and that he kind of forced a move. Same with Rowe. As soon as players normally say they don't want to be here, fans want them gone, and it just seems a little bit different with Nunez here, and I think it is because of that Ipswich link. But if Ipswich are the only team, hands are tied. But as I said, I still don't know where I fall into the category of just don't pick up the phone if it's Ipswich calling, or actually they're presenting a good sizable chunk of money for a player that has the potential to miss a third of a season. I still don't know where I sit on that. Well, I'm sitting on the fence, I think, at this point, but I think I'm more disappointed in him than the club. I think that's my stance. Someone put, when you consider that this hasn't happened in 24 years, and the last time it did, it was on a free transfer, it says everything if you ask me. We don't sell to them and they don't sell to us. If Nunez helps them get promoted, then Napa has done us over. So yeah, I think this is a interesting one. When they technically did sell to us, we obviously got Liam Gibbs. It obviously doesn't happen very often, and especially first team players, like starting 11 players, it definitely doesn't happen often. If Nunez does help get them promoted, I think that's a calculated risk that Ipswich and Norwich have taken. The pressure's going to be on, I think, from Nunez from the get-go. There's going to be a lot of pressure from him to perform coming from us. And to be honest, I think that could potentially get quite a lot for him. But yeah, I think Napa's not a fan at the end of the day, and people will say that he should be taking the fans' opinions into account here, which definitely agree with, but he's also part of a business, and that £10 million, although Antanasios have said they're willing to put money in for us, if we can't see us getting more than 10 million out of him at a later date, they will sell him. So I think that's the case on that one, unfortunately. Someone put, my head is in an absolute space and I feel disrespected and disgusted, not only by the actions of Napa rolling over and allowing this to happen, but also of Nunez. Totally disgusting way to behave to a fan base who gave you everything you could ever want. I think the Napa hate has got extreme in my opinion. I think his hands were tied if Nunez is forcing it. If Nunez is forcing that move, which is what is being reported, is that obviously Nunez turned down 2 contract offers and then wanting to go to Ipswich. His hands are tied. For me, Nunez is the bigger issue here than Napa. Napa's signings, Napa's recruitment is a completely different discussion in this element. Whether you question that, that's absolutely fine, because not all of them have come off. Obviously some need a bit more time, but not all of them have paid off. So I completely get the question in there. But one thing we can all agree on is Napa has done very well selling players and getting the most for players that we could possibly get. And that's probably the biggest success that he has had, is around selling players. And if Nunez is not wanting to be here, I don't want him here, and I don't think others would. And Napa's just then going to see an asset that isn't going to be here, isn't going to want to put in 100%. Obviously, there's talks of people saying, well, just chuck him in the under-21s. But again, that doesn't achieve anything, because he's not going to contribute to potentially us going up, and he's an asset that's losing value. He's just going to go on a free. We are not a club that can afford to do that. So yeah, for me, the responsibility sits with Nunez in this case. Again, you can question Napa, you can question his recruitment, but in this specific instance, it's on Nunez for me. Someone put, absolute joke, you cannot sell your best midfielder to your rivals, and even more so this season when both clubs have ambitions of finishing in the top 6. We have been told money is not an issue, so why not just wait for another club or until the end of the season? Disappointed. I get this one in regards to waiting for another club. Obviously, if we wait till the end of the season, he goes on a free. And to be honest, we don't think we're in a position to wait for another club if we were happy to sell him, because transfer window shuts very soon. We'd be taking basically a £10 million gamble. Antanasios have said that money will be there to be invested. And to be honest, we're at just break even. I think we're maybe 1 million over. If these were Delia days, we wouldn't be even. We'd normally be in a profit when it comes to transfers. And yeah, it is a tricky one to take. I'm hoping there will be further funds to spend in January. That creative midfielder role is exactly what we're lacking. We need support for Sarge. Sarge would be the biggest signing still if we kept him. But he is probably thinking, what is going on? He's lost Nunez. He's obviously lost Science, which I think everyone expected. And I think we had conversations at the start of the season around who's going to go, who's out of those 3. And I think I think we all thought 2 out of the 3 were going to go. I generally thought Sarge and Sainz. I didn't think Nunez. I didn't think maybe the attraction to Premier League clubs would be there, and I didn't necessarily see us selling to a Championship club, but here we are. Someone put, honestly, I understand accepting up to 10 million for him, considering time left on the contract and refusal to sign a new deal. Made great financial sense, and I just cannot believe the lot down the road are the only interested party. And that's the thing for me, that whether you see it as a red flag or a green flag, however you look at it, there was only one party interested, and that was Ipswich. Ipswich have been the ones to make the approach. We can't go against that. We can't magic up random transfer fees and transfer interests. So yeah, an interesting one to have a look at, really. In regards to kind of getting a rough sense check from the fans, asked whether people thought it was a good deal, the 10 million. It's shockingly, I actually think 56% have actually said it is. And going by YouTube comments and X and things like that, that is not the percentage I would have put on that at all. But I think, yeah, I'm just really disappointed that from a player like Nunez, that obviously we took a punt on. No, there's no loyalty in football, but there's talks that he didn't really integrate himself into the club, wasn't trying to learn kind of English or anything to communicate with teammates. Ironically, he has supposedly now followed an English tutor on Instagram, so maybe he's a changed man for Ipswich. But yeah, I really did not expect this to come from Nunez. He would be one of the last players I'd expect it from. And slightly self-entitlement, I think. If you're Josh Sargent and you're the best Championship striker, I think you wouldn't want to see it, but at least you could potentially understand it if he tried to force a move to a Premier League club. But he has, in effect, forced a move on the gamble that Ipswich get promoted, which is a big play. I think he's going to have one hell of a reception when he comes to Carrow Road. I think of the reception Kamara gets when he comes to Carrow Road, and he was a bit part player. The reception Nunez is going to get is going to be absolutely mega. I think a lot of Ipswich fans seem very happy with the signing. £10 million for an international who has the capability of unlocking doors for them. Obviously, their midfield has kind of been taken apart a little bit this summer, so they're looking for a rebuild. They're happy with it. And why wouldn't they be? He is a good player. Again, I think a lot of our fans will now underplay his fitness record and his assists, but I think he's a very solid player. He's not as good as the hype made him out to be, in my opinion, but he's not as bad as what fans are making him out to be now. But yeah, it's a real tricky one. Matsson's coming into a lot of pressure now, so I do worry a little bit there. That kind of pressure's already there for him, and we're notorious for the last few windows of players taking a bit of time to settle in, so he has got to hit the ground running, let's be honest. But leave a comment down below. What are your thoughts on everything Nunez? What are your thoughts on these fans' opinions? As I said, I think it's just really interesting to hear other people's points of view. If you've enjoyed this video, obviously leave a like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.